Bitcoin max pump is loading right now. Ethereum also signaling major moves in the altcoin market might be about to absolutely rip to the upside. But is there signs of caution? I think that there are. We got to pay attention to what those signs of caution are because we might have a little bit of some double trap, triple trap, quadruple traps, especially going into this weekend. But going into the first week of July, I'm starting to see signals going into July that we're going to see some max rippage to the upside. So everybody, let's get into it. Let's talk about the market. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell, get involved. I want to see some action from every single one of you in the live chat. Good morning. How you feeling? What are you grateful for? Type in a GM and what city you are tuned in from. Everybody right now, get active in the live chat. Good morning, GM, and what city you are tuned in from. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Bitcoin wrapping out this week right now about $106,720. People are so frustrated. They feel like it's just a bear market. Your alts aren't moving yet. Bitcoin's not moving. Hell, Bitcoin is consolidating above $100,000 for about a month now. We had that one little scary dip. Oh, look at that. I got a brand new QR code on my shirt there. I should probably rip that off. But we have Bitcoin accumulating above $100,000 minus that one very quick bear trap right down to $98,000. But the market is setting up in the most bullish fashion we could have ever imagined. And yet it is crickets across the market. Where is retail? Where are people that have always wanted to have an incredible opportunity that is bigger than the lottery? And yet people are not even paying attention. But you're here, you're paying attention. Make sure you're subscribed if you found your way to this video, because we got a lot to talk about going into this weekend and going into July, where July is going to be such an incredibly bullish month. Shout out to our channel partners, BitcoinIRA.com, which I'm going to be talking. I actually have a pre-recorded clip towards the end talking with the Bitcoin IRA team about what's going on in this market and some other major things going on. You can find more information on them at BitcoinIRA.com, and of course our other channel partners at GetArculus.com. So with that being said, I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're feeling grateful. Let me go ahead and actually get a tweet out, or not a tweet, a post to Chris Klein. Live now. We'll have your there we go. Boom. Sorry, had to drop some knowledge, had to drop some things. Now, what we're seeing in this market, especially wrapping out this week, peak frustration with people in the market. They need it to go down. The market's not going to do what you need. The market is not going to do what you need. The market tends to be contrary to what the majority of people think is going to happen until the buying pressure outweighs the selling pressure. And similarly, until the selling pressure outweighs the buying pressure, whichever direction it's going to move. And in this case, the fundamental growth that we've seen over the last year, and especially this last 3 months, has been nothing short of absolutely exponential in terms of where we can forward predict where the market is going to go. So as we go into this weekend, do not be frustrated that we may see some price action choppiness, because we have the data, not our hope, not our fear. We have the data that is suggesting that the price may very well enter this trap city formation and just ping pong back and forth, scoop down, scare the living bejesus out of you, only to reverse. Once you go short, you go, I guess it is breaking down. And then it reverses and comes back up here and then scoops out the liquidity back up here. I expect to see some movement like this weekend, unless we get some major news story that changes the narrative and really gives strength to the bulls or really gives strength to the bears. But the fundamental macro picture on Bitcoin right now is up and to the right. In fact, I drew a very simplified chart for every single one of you to understand how to forecast where Bitcoin is going. And that is this chart right here. This might feel absurd, but once you realize what is going on in this market, this is going to be the narrative. This is the narrative for Bitcoin over the next 15, 20 years, which is up and to the right. And there's going to be some dumps and chops along the way. In fact, it is it is spectacularly entertaining when you look back and realize how scared you might have been in certain dips, only to see how minuscule and like not even worth thinking about dips as you move forward. When you look at this 40% dip on Bitcoin. Can you believe it? Max crash, it's over. Well, what did this turn into? If you zoom out on the chart, this is that same right here. This is that same 40% dip. Does this matter when you look at this going into the future? It doesn't matter whatsoever. It is incomprehensible how much of a slave we are to our emotions of the moment when you understand that this is what it looks like when you zoom out and realize where this market's going. And it's going to look a lot like this. This is what we need to pay attention to. The world waking up to Bitcoin, and up and to the right is going to be the dominant trend on an exponential basis. We've just entered this new stage in Bitcoin, the world stage, the world racing to stack Bitcoin. This is where we're at, this world racing to stack Bitcoin. As you can see, is this metric right here, this boxed area. We're still looking at these targets up here. Even if we get a pullback, I'd be grateful if we did, but we need to make sure that we do not fall victim to things like this that only serve to transfer your Bitcoin to somebody that understands this is the narrative right here, moving up and to the right. So understanding that gives you a lot more confidence about what's going on. A lot more confidence. Now, when we go beyond this and we realize this is what the market looks like, and these little incomprehensible, at the moment, feels devastating, these pullbacks. But then you realize where this market's going, and it's only just getting started, baby. So let's understand that. Now, with that being said, we got some other things going on here too. We talked about the basically double trap city or quadruple trap city, Bitcoin max frustration setup here with all of this liquidity above us, all of this liquidity below us, especially following a day where we just got word that it's more likely than not that we got a trade deal signed with China. So why isn't the market exploding higher, especially on a day where we're seeing new all-time highs for the stock market and for Microsoft and for NVIDIA? We're seeing the market explode higher, and yet it is not happening yet on Bitcoin. In fact, we can see it on this chart right here. This is the S&P 500, the blue line, and the orange line is Bitcoin. And we don't want to look at the exact moves up and down, just the general directional movement here seems to track pretty darn well. And now we had a massive sell-off, V-shaped recovery on the S&P 500, where Bitcoin, it felt big, but really all we did was test previous range highs, as we've been talking about on this channel for some time. But the fact that we have actually now broken to new all-time highs, Bitcoin is yet to follow, that's okay. We shouldn't be frustrated. We should say, oh, all signs point to higher. Global money flow up, S&P 500 new all-time highs, trade deals coming in, tariffs starting to be understood and realizing it's profitable for the country and not having a big impact on inflation. And at the same time, we're seeing that Bitcoin has not moved yet, and we're waiting for this. We should jump at every opportunity that this has not broken out yet. It's okay to be patient in this market. And when we zoom in on the near term, this is scary. It just means you gotta just sit down a little bit. I expect chop into the first week of July. Take advantage of the opportunity to get out of the charts. If this is frustrating, you get out of the charts. Or if you have a good strategy, which we try to help break down with you here and in our Discord as well, then you could trade the range. Take some advantage of things in the market. So with that being, let's continue on, because we're seeing other bullish signs in the market as well. While people are feeling max frustration, and it's just like people are becoming complacent because it's not moving in this immediate moment. These are the best times that become the most profitable for those of you that are paying attention. Bullish Bitcoin long-term holders are stacking 800,000 Bitcoin per month. That's not dollars. That's 800,000 Bitcoin per month, the highest accumulation rate in history. The largest amount of accumulation for long-term holders per month in history is happening right now. And people are wondering, can it go higher? Hell yeah, it can go higher. We are looking to, we're looking for this chart right here and not getting chopped out along the way. So we understand this. What does it mean? Bitcoin has the highest long-term holder stacking ever, while Bitcoin at the highest ever consolidation range. We're consolidating $100,000, wondering if this is the top, but we're seeing the strength come in like we're at a bottom. We have entered a new phase of this market. Do not mess this up. Make sure you're following us so we can keep you on the right side of the trend. Hit the like button. Let me know, are you stacking or are you selling right now? Because you got no idea what's going on. Okay, we got Satoshi on my chest because I'm trying to bring out the inner Satoshi in each and every one of you. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. We got 1,200 people tuned in across the different platforms. So big love to each and every one of you. Listening to Kelly always makes me want to press buy. Well, as long as you got the courage to hold, it's always a good time to buy Bitcoin. So continuing on, shout out to Mark Dutch too. Always seeing you around the different channels, and big love. Let Tony, let him know, Tino, I mean, not Tony. Let Tino know we got to connect. I'd like to do some stuff, some cross-channel stuff. But then we got to check this out. Bitcoin is barely moving, which has glued volatility to critical lows. Historical volatility this low, as we're seeing this line right here, when it's very low, historical volatility, has only ever been seen before the final bull run. There have been no bearish examples. What we're looking at here is very similar to what we saw in 2017. This is a completely different market cycle for a number of reasons. We had the early bull, the sell-off that should have just been an accumulation flat into another parabolic run, but we had a massive sell-off and then a black swan event, the global economic shutdown here, COVID, and then we had the max bid to the upside. So this was a very bizarre cycle. Looking at 2017 though, much like other on-chain metrics that I share with you regularly, this is, of course, somewhat different, but the shape of this trend is much more controlled like we're seeing here. Now, this one's also, in my opinion, a bit more extended and will continue to extend. And that's partially because of the major players that are here. We are seeing these lows. Look at how these relate to what's happening in price action before pump, before launch. Okay, now what do we see here? Before pump, we had a little bit of chop here, but before pump, and then the next one, before pump, this was a major move. And then we got, this was actually after the ETF sell-off and then the launch. And then right here where we had the Japanese yen carry trade fiasco where the market, was up here 74,000 and dropped here down to 40,000. The market's over. It topped. Oh, wait, it went from 40,000 to $109,000 in this move. And that is off this one right here. Now we see this next move. This is a sell-off that we had, boom, that came down to test this previous range high, and we're kind of in the same zone now. I think we're about to catch max bid. We just got to be patient. So let's be smart, because it's not just these two 2017 and this current cycle. We also saw it right here where the market had the big sell-off accumulation, and then boom, volatility drop after consolidation, then launch. So let's pay attention to the data. Let's not pay attention to being enamored by price, hope, and fear and ego nonsense that serves you nothing. The data gives you the ingredients for the good trades, for the good positions, for the good entry and exit points. And that's what we talk about here on BitLab Academy, trying to make sure that you guys are looking at the ingredients, not the hope and fear mechanisms in this market. Now, continuing on, what else we got? Check it out. Don't give up on crypto at the wrong time. So many people get frustrated, leave, and then the market rips and they go, it's always me. Well, do something different. Tuning in here, we're keeping people on the right side. We've been calling some incredible shots over this last 2.5 years here on the BitLab Academy, here in the Discover Crypto family, Blockchain Basement family, Hit Network, all of you here with us in our family. And that Discord link is up there pinned in the top of the live chat. It's also pinned in the top of the live chat on Rumble. You can also find more information if you come right down here, click on more. It is right here. Join Discover Investments Group. It's our max basically collective between me and DZ and Josh and Drew and TJ and Tim. We're all in here. And you can also click on that link right there. Get in there. If you're already a paying BitLab member, just send us an email at office@hitnetwork.com and we'll get you integrated. If you used to be paying and then you fell off because, we had a lot of changeover stuff, whatever, drop an email to me at help@bitlabacademy.com, and I'll get you a promo code so that you can get in at half price. Basically, just kind of an OG thank you. Help@bitlabacademy.com. But we're all in there now, active on a daily basis, trading on a daily basis. More members morning streams between me and Drew, and I know DZ's doing a more member stream right now on that Discord. Just want to get people in the know, get in there, get active, baby, and make sure you're hitting that like button and you are subscribed. Now, continuing on, we got some other things we want to look at right here. So this is what we're looking at. Don't give up at the wrong time. So many people are looking the other direction right now. They're max frustrated. They're wondering, is alt season going to happen? Is Bitcoin done? Are we at a top? Oh my God. The market data suggests that over time, we are going to see this max upside and up and to the right. It is not this simple if you are zoomed in on a daily chart or a 4-hour chart. When we look back on this in 10 years, this is what we're going to see on the macro chart. We're going to see this, but when you zoom in on the chart, what we see is a lot of basically jockeying back and forth, up and down, and all the work it takes to have that sort of up and to the right move. This, and just to reaffirm what we're seeing here, this is what we're going to see zoomed out. However, people get lost and enamored on this. This is being zoomed in. 40% crash. It's over. This same crash that made it feel like it was over, that made so many people sell, when you zoom out on that and look at where this was, look at that. Was it over? Or did it matter if you bought the top? If you bought the top of this and you're like, God dang it, dropped. Well, look at what it ended up performing as. Understand that, and you realize there's no bad time to buy Bitcoin as long as you're able to hold, at least, especially if you're able to hold 4 years. You can buy every market cycle top and still be up so long as you're able to hold 4 years. Okay, Basil Dabo said, Kelly, are you worried about too much of new institutional control with stablecoin? No, I'm not worried about control. I think as the max bid comes in from stablecoin involvement, we're going to get a lot more capital access points. I think we are going to see a wave of new retail coming in. The question is going to be, how bifurcated is that going to be? How siloed is it going to be on proxies, things like ETFs, Bitcoin, treasury companies, and those sorts of things. As the stable coins start to deploy through different banks and stuff, I think that's actually going to be good for the altcoin ecosystem, because those are running on altcoin rails, right? Like Ethereum and Avalanche and Cardano and Solana and Tron, so on and so forth. So I do think it adds a huge amount of use case for some of the top layer one altcoins out there. So I do think we need to pay attention to it, but it's a great question there, Basil. And I'm looking forward to doing that spaces with you over on the Mario channel. Now, continuing on, again, watching into this weekend, I just want to reemphasize, we've got this trap city structure here with liquidity both above and below the price action here. So I'm expecting a little bit of volatility, but this is also, we get this compressed moments of basically the lack of expansion in price, where price just keeps constricting down and tighter volatility, especially with all this positive fundamental news, before we get very large moves. So let's stay locked in, because when you look at the macro, this is the crypto total market cap. We're seeing this, basically the macro trend oscillator, as you see right here, right where this flips green. Yes, price action already moved up into this, sure. But where this flipped green, look at where this is, right about right here. The price action came back, retested this previous range high, and look at this, max bid into a parabola. Okay, look, yeah, we got a big run up, we got a big sell off. Oh, now it started running up again, but look, breakout, retest, flips bullish, boom, parabola. What we get? Oh my God, we had a bullish run up, we broke out, we retested. We are on the cusp of starting to potentially get to this point right here, which is that next parabola to the upside. Do you think that's possible? I'm very much in favor of thinking this is the most likely look for what's going on here. Long call I gave in the Discord this AM is printing, says blockchain basement. Let's actually look at the Bitcoin price really quick. Boom. Let's go down to 15 minutes, double chart. Oh yeah, look at that. That's nice. Nice move there. Let's go on the smaller time frames. We got a bit of a resistance trend line. We got a bit of a falling wedge, falling channel. It's a little ugly. We can kind of also go like this, where we get a lot of touch points. Rejection, kind of rejection, a little bit of support, rejection, candle rejection. But this is nice move up. And if you're tightly trading this range on the 15-minute, you can kind of look at these areas of potential reversals in both directions until we break out and clear roughly about this zone right here, which is about $108,000. Why? Because rejection. We had a deviation above, but then rejection. This zone will be interesting on the way to the upside. But we're going to look at more charts on this in just a moment. Max bid, long-term holders, max bidding, larger than we've ever seen, while Bitcoin's price is consolidating and accumulating above $100,000. This is a dream scenario. We all thought it was going to be max retail interest and excitement and engagement, but it's actually better right now that it's not. The smart money is looking at this and going, hey, man, this is great. While retail's going, oh, man, the price is high, man. Well, okay, stay poor. Boom, that's just it. Go stay poor. Do not have opportunity in your future because you're not willing to see the failure of the dollar, which is proven on a consistent basis over the last 100+ years. In fact, it's proven by every fiat currency that's ever existed. Your dollar is failing at a record rate with the 80% of every dollar that's ever been printed in the last 5 years. Now we have another asset that's outside of the monetary, government monetary mismanaged asset class, which is the dollar, which is what we're seeing with government policy, so it doesn't even matter which political affiliation you're in. Do you want to have money that has value in the future? If so, Bitcoin has taken that spot on the world stage with attributes from gold, with attributes from dollars, with attributes from credit, with attributes for collateral for housing. There's been so many different elements within the crypto ecosystem right now, especially with Bitcoin, that I cannot imagine why somebody is not paying attention to the best opportunity of a multi-generational, multi-millennia time frame. Smart money is stacking right now like they do coming into a bear market, preparing for that next major leg up. Look at this, preparing for the next major leg up. Again, right here, before the parabolic move happened. Look, right here, before this max move from 40,000 to 109,000. And yet right now we're consolidating above $100,000. Max bid, setting records for the long-term holders. Strong hands, smart money, stacking above $100,000. And you're bearish? Man, you better go. You better rectify. Now, we got a couple other things to look at here, and then we got to roll over to some other things, and that is right here. Dog, can you believe it? Dog is listed on Kraken. So shout out to every one of the people in my dog army. This might mean dog pumps today. It might have a sell-off today. It's irrelevant to me when we're looking at this in the long run. But what I like to see here is money go where the mind share and engagement is. Dog has more engagement, AKA also more mind share, than we're seeing in Doge. Doge being the largest Ethereum meme coin. This got up to about $80 billion last cycle. In addition to that, it moved about $30 billion in such an aggressively short period of time. Now, Dog has already gotten up to $1 billion market cap before it had any tier 1 listings, had a bit of a sell-off as the market sold off as well. It wasn't just Dog. The market sold off. Now it's had about a 463% move to the upside from the low to this high. Look, now breakdown, cool. Breakdown into a broadening wedge. Where'd the price bounce? Right on this previous range that we've talked about yesterday. And then now, look, breaking out of this. Now, this could fall back into this. And if so, if it did, I'd be looking for an opportunity back down here. A great entry, 3536 zone right here, 0.0036. But the most bullish aspect on the near term, if you're trading this, which I don't recommend trading, this is a hodl asset, baby. At least for this cycle, I should say. Is if we get the pullback, which it looks like, look at this, look, nice kind of bull flaggy, but came down, retested this previous resistance, now trying to break out, but there's going to be questions. And one of those questions is, on many listings of a token on a tier 1 exchange, you get sell-offs. Why is that? Because usually there's a lot of team allocation that they basically take profits into these big listings of volume, take money out of the ecosystem. Now, in this case, this was a fair launch, so it went across, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. I think there's over about 100,000 holders now, and the engagement is just off the charts, and it's just now getting listed on this on Kraken. Now, could we get a little bit of a sell-off? Sure. But I don't think it's going to be like we see in a lot of tokens where you post and immediately it drops off. Now, when you look at Kraken, by the way, which is a great exchange, you do see it did have a little bit of a drop. Now, there can be a couple different explanations for this. One, it could be the price at which Kraken actually bought liquidity, basically, because this was not a paid launch. This was a community. Community was so rabid and so engaging. Kraken said, okay, oh yeah, we got to get involved in that community. So this was not paid to be listed. So they had to acquire the token. So they might, I would guess that they had to acquire at a higher price. And so what we're seeing here is the price listed at that price. I could be wrong, but this is kind of what it's looking like. Because then now this came back down to the mean average that we're seeing on a lot of the other exchanges. So this is fine. It's actually finding a floor here. And when we look at the macro here, I'm very, very bullish on this going into the rest of this year, even with a little bit of dips along the way. So, and look at this also, RSI broke up, came down, is finding support above the 50 line, staying on the more bullish trajectory there. So shout out to the dog army. Big love to each and every one of you. Now, what else we got? We got a couple other things I want to get to, and then I got some words from an OG in the space. But Ethereum signaling, is Ethereum signaling that the alt market is about to explode? Well, the Ethereum whales have the highest accumulation ever in this cycle. Massive stacking here, just like we were talking about on Bitcoin. Stacking here when everybody's saying, but ETH is dead, Sui's better, Say's the thing. Cardano's is saying, no avalanche, no near, no, it doesn't matter. There's going to be different narratives and different niches within the altcoin ecosystem that are going to run incredibly aggressively. But a lot of them are going to be, their ability to really run to the upside is going to be very much governed, in my opinion, by is ETH actually starting to show bullish momentum? And if it is, if it's breaking back into the 3,000, back into the 3,600, back in up to the $4,000 range and beyond, then you start seeing a huge amount of liquidity confidence and risk confidence in the altcoin space. So this is suggesting ETH is not dead. In fact, it might be waking up for something major, because it's not just this accumulation addresses smart money. We're also seeing, check this out, historic activity on Ethereum. June 25th, 2 days ago, Ethereum recorded 1.7 million confirmed transactions, marking the third highest daily transaction count in the network's history. So there's a lot of things happening here. And when we go back to the Genius Act regarding stablecoins run on the altcoin rails. So this might be an indication of some of those things that are going to be, coming out of the positivity of this Genius Act, of people getting positioned, people getting things integrated, the preparation for what that act means if and when it gets fully signed into law. So I am super bullish on what we're seeing here. And then, of course, we got this. Altcoin flows dip to 1.6 billion per month, below average. Similar lows in the past preceded major altcoin rallies per CryptoQuant. So what we're seeing here, the dip, the lack of interest, the lack of basically just hyper complacency. Boom, market rips. Boom, market rips. Boom, market rips. Okay, what we see, boom, market rips. Boom, market rips. So we need, and this is over 73 tokens that we're seeing this. When nobody's paying attention and people give up, the market runs. So the question is, can you stay locked in? Because the market is showing signs and signals very similar right here. You see this where my mouse is? This is getting to that same level we saw when price ripped from $74,000 to Bitcoin to over $112,000. We are in the same territory, setting up for a major move. Max pump is coming in this market. So make sure you're taking advantage of what's going on and being patient, but taking your shots, finding entries. I added another million dog the other day before this move. Why is that? Because I like the asset, I believe in it, so I stacked into it. I've been stacking into Link because I think this is the most undervalued asset in the crypto ecosystem. And it's got, I mean, multi-year compression into this beautiful range here. I mean, let's turn off all the lines and charts and stuff. Look at this. I mean, this has just come into basically a stable coin looking, I mean, when this goes, I think this is going to be absolutely fantastic. Also, Aerodrome. Okay, Aerodrome getting integrated with Coinbase in their app, and all the base ecosystem tokens going to be able to be traded within the Coinbase app. You know how much exponential volume is going to come to Aerodrome because of that? Aerodrome being the base DEX. Guys, we are so bullish on what's happening. Tau also, golly, Barry Silbert and some other people did a pretty big deep dive on Tau the other day, and some of the players that are involved in this. David Sachs, a crypto czar and AI czar. What is Tau? It's crypto and it's AI. It's AI crypto. He talks about Tau regularly. Chamath Palihapitiya has talked about his interest in Tau. Barry Silbert, the right players are involved in this asset, and it's a beautiful, dynamic AI ecosystem. Pay attention to Tau because we're seeing some major moves. It's already broken out of this. It's getting a little bit of a consolidation back to the downside, but I'm expecting this to round out somewhere here in the very near future and start seeing some explosive moves to the upside. Even Ondo, oh my God, it's not moving. Well, it's got all the right partners, BlackRock and WisdomTree and MasterCard. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. JP Morgan, tokenizing assets, tokenizing treasuries. What did we just see with the Genius Act? The Genius Act is all about stablecoins. What do the stablecoins have to do? They have to have treasuries as their backing. What does Ondo do? Tokenized treasuries. You see some things setting up for some insane bullishness in this market? Connect the dots. That's what I'm here to help you do. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I got some more content that's coming out this weekend and other things that are going to be at play as well. Make sure you get in the Discord. But with that, I got some really insanely wonderful thoughts and words coming from Chris Klein from Bitcoin IRA. We've got some really, some great talking points in here about what's going on. And there's a great deal in there for you as well. He's got some really good points about what's happening in the market. But I love you guys. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and ding the bell. This market is getting so exciting right now. And most people are frustrated with it. Hell, I'm frustrated with it sometimes, and I realize I'm not being patient for the most exciting asset class in the history of the world. Link is at $13. I'm going to be a champion and cheering for every one of you when we look at this at $250, $400, $600 in the future. We're going to be saying, yeah, we were buying at $5, $6, $13. It's these moments that make an insane difference in your life. Not every token you hold is going to make it, even some of the ones we like. Trade smart, don't over allocate yourself, diversify if you are in altcoins, try to be as heavily allocated into Bitcoin as possible. Dog to the moon. Shout out to my dog army, but here this great interview you got to pay attention to. I'm also going to be releasing this tomorrow as a standalone video, but definitely I'm going to stay here in the live chat with you as we listen in. So let's go. What's up? Welcome back to BitLab Academy. We're talking about Bitcoin and crypto, and I'm going to start with the millions of dollars lost and tens of thousands of spirits broken in the last cycles because people didn't know how to manage their capital. They saw prices rising, they went out spending that money, and they ended up holding the bag of nothing because they weren't thinking ahead. We're here today with Chris Klein from Bitcoin IRA. I'm going to pick his brain about what's going on in this market and also some of the major developments that have happened institutionally and on the retail side, the financialization of the crypto ecosystem and what we can do. So Chris, how you doing? Welcome back to BitLab Academy.
Thanks for having me here today.
So we're looking at the market right now. It feels like, I've been in this market for about 10 years. It feels like everything's changing. But at the same time, this is said in every market where, is this time really different? What's your general landscape? Where are we at within crypto right now?
I don't think we're at the mania part yet. I think that's, even though prices would tell you, you'd think otherwise, right? When we hit these levels, even late last year, and then to be back at 110, 112, knocking on the door. The regular Joe, the guy that's not into crypto, of course, you and I, we're watching the charts every day. I mean, I check it before I check my pulse in the mornings. Where's the Bitcoin price at? A lot of the regular folks, the retail FOMO and mania has not hit us yet. And I think that's what I'm really excited for. To see what's the price point? Where's that threshold where everybody starts talking about it again, and then the FOMO kicks in? Because we all know then we just go parabolic at that point.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, it's been bewildering to me as of late when people, when we were sitting around that $74,000 level for some months, and then recently, on Inauguration Day, nonetheless, we hit that $109,000 top and broke down. Everybody's saying, so many people saying that this is the top of the cycle. And I'm looking at all the data and I'm like, I've never seen a top of a crypto asset that didn't have a huge amount of new retail coming in, which we haven't seen in any respect now.
Nope.
But what we have seen, despite that, we've seen a huge number, an exponential, an explosion, if you will, of the institutional players, the banking, different corporations, different service, the financialization. We're seeing the big players come in, and it feels like retail is asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, I was just walking around, we're here in Vegas for the conference. I was just walking around and I noticed a lot more sport coats this year than last year, which means what you're saying there, the bankers, the
silver
institutions.
tips.
Yeah, the silver tips, a little older crowd again. I mean, last year Nashville had a very heavy, well, Trump was there. So there was a lot of folks that weren't even there for Bitcoin. They were just there because Trump was speaking and it was Nashville, Tennessee. It's an interesting crowd. I'm excited to see as the larger group comes in tomorrow when the main doors open for the regular folks instead of the industry folks. But that I kind of noticed that. I was looking around. I was like, man, this is a lot of sport coats compared to last year, where I think of the retail guys as the guys in hoodies. We're allowed to wear sport coats, but you won't normally see large groups of them. So yeah, I think we still haven't quite seen that retail kick in. And also, just the other day, casual conversations I'm having, folks are still remembering thinking that it's at 75. They'll say, oh, didn't it crash back down to like the 70s? I'm like, yeah, that stopped around April and it's almost June. Oh man, I really got to check in on my app. And so, but I have they had the shoe shine indicator. It was a red light for people. I call it my Uber indicator. Wherever that Uber driver is at that moment in time. And even today, just coming over here, no conversation I haven't had any Uber drivers really, because I always have my backpack, I always have something Bitcoin on me, but I have been flying a lot back and forth to Arizona and California as I'm moving there. And I take the same flight pretty much every Friday home and then go back to Arizona on Monday. And I pretty much had a conversation. Normally, I just fall asleep. I grab a cocktail at the bar before and I just fall asleep for a quick 55-minute nap. But there's been somebody sitting next to me that sees my backpack, and there's a lot of intrigue right now. I think there's people that are like wondering, is this another top? Where will this thing go from here? I say with confidence, like I did on Yahoo, 180 this year. I don't see us not hitting that. Looking at the M2 supply correlation and knowing what we've been through enough cycles, knowing that this thing hits 125, 130, and it's just boom, off to the races. That's where I think 130 is where you really start to see the FOMO start kicking again.
I agree very heavily with you there. And there's a lot, every headwind that the entire crypto ecosystem had over the last 16 years kind of flipped on a dime over the last 8 to 9 months, where every headwind is now a tailwind, and we're getting new tailwinds on a daily basis, from the Stablecoin Act to what we're seeing with SAB 121 or whatever it was, the banking regulations kind of rescinding.
Yep.
But then also just the number of talking heads out there, the respected talking heads, whether we like them or not.
The guys who were calling us frauds a few years ago are now
BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, Jamie Dimon. It's a pet rock, but we're able to hold your Bitcoin and manage it for you now. And they're actively building in Bitcoin and crypto services. And that brings us to a great point, because we're talking about where the market is now, where is it going? And do you think it's going up this year and over the next 10 years?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, it's going to have a bumpy road. It's not going to be a straight line. It's definitely going to have its aberrations along the way, as we know. I mean, that's where my gray hairs came from, was all those dips and dodges and ducks along the way in crypto.
Of course, and we're in this. For me, it's not just about making money in the markets, but let's be honest. We want to make some money in these markets. And if we're going to do that, then we need to start making sure that we're looking at not just where we think it's going, but what is our path to get there, and how does that protect us in the future? And I know with you all, Bitcoin IRA, proud partners here at Discover Crypto, BitLab Academy, Blockchain Basement. We love having you in the family, because for us, it's a great representation of where we're at on the crypto ecosystem stage globally, because we have true regulated financialization of Bitcoin coming in, which is also probably going to change the way sell pressures come in this market as well. Yeah. Whether you're talking about things like Morpho or Aave or some of these things that have been around and new ones coming out in the DeFi space, with Coinbase offering lending against borrowing against
the yield,
your assets. I think as people step into this market and realize all these new, there's a new paradigm of how you can interact with, manage, and be a part of your own financial sovereign, be your own financial sovereign. So if that's the case, and we're getting all this new financialization, what do you think that means moving forward? Are we going to start seeing, before we dive, because I want to dive in with you at Bitcoin IRA, because you guys are offering some incredible things that I really do think everybody needs to pay attention to and get ahead of this now, because I'm going to tell you here in a second, something that he and I broke down together, just with $7,500, how you could save literally as much as $3 million. That's right. You don't have a ton of money. Well, you're not going to have a ton of money if you don't protect that small money now. But the financialization, we got the flies coming here saying,
they want Bitcoin.
Yeah, there you go. But looking at this financialization, is this going to be part of what changes the demographic of people that come in? Because I think that's part of adoption too.
Yes, but I also think that one thing we have to be wary of is a lot of new entrants. If things get crazy, like you and I have been through some 10, 12, 15, hell, I've seen a couple 20% down days.
80%.
Yeah. And so, but that takes a little intestinal fortitude. You've got to be used to that. I remember the first time I watched it go to 1,000 and back to 500, and I was sick to my stomach. New entrants may not be committed enough. If they're not committed, that may cause a small aberration, or a dip could become a big dip if people get washed out of the space.
Well, in the TradFi space, people typically think if you drop 20%, you're going into a recession, you're a massive bear market. In Bitcoin,
that's a Tuesday.
And crypto, that's Friday afternoon creating a CME gap. But that's.
And when you see that on Friday, I always say to myself, it's going to be a great Sunday afternoon. When China wakes up on Sunday evenings for us, the green candles just go crazy, it seems like lately. So yeah, I think that's a big piece. First, new entrants they're going to be a different kind of buyer. What's really interesting to me is, what is this alt season going to look like? Because there's so many more alts, and there's so many more alts that have some amazing utility. You just got me into Ondo. By the way, I did finally get to add some to the portfolio on my IRA account, so I got some Ondo in there. So now I'm checking it regularly and more actively involved in it. But these are amazing projects. There's also this intersection of AI and crypto that a lot of people aren't quite tapping into yet, I think. We're working with AI at Bitcoin IRA, and one of the things we're doing, which most folks, beginners are just still doing ChatGPT prompts, they're treating it like a browser. But we're actually starting to get our robots that we created to, at Bitcoin IRA, we call every client on their birthday and on their anniversary of their account. So that's about 400,000 phone calls we've got to make every year. Pretty hard to do with humans. So we're thrilled to have the robots help us do it. But then I started putting the robots against each other, like a sales floor, right? So they're competing against each other. They see each other's data of contact rates, the things that they get out of it. And then I'm starting to pay them a commission in some coin. That's the next evolution of it. And to let them know, just like us, we have to go and get that handful of cash every day. That's our 9 to 5. Well, we're a little different, but most Americans, that's what they're doing.
A reward-based system.
A reward-based system. And then you have to, I was meeting with one of our engineers, you have to actually threaten their life. The robot has to feel like, if I don't perform, they're going to unplug me. And so that's the whole next evolution of this. And there's a marriage right there of cryptocurrency married with use of AI. And so these are the applications I don't think we're barely scratching the surface on, and what's going to come out of that. So to me, it's different kind of alt season. What will Bitcoin dominance look like? I had a very good friend, a good client of ours that's been around for years. He mentioned something to me that he thinks that Bitcoin dominance is it's like 63% right now, could go as low as 25 this summer with the alts just going on fire, which, I don't think it's going to go that low, but it will be very interesting to see this larger pool of very powerful alts out there. What will that do to the mix of the entire industries, not just the crypto sector?
Yeah, there's no way to tell, but there is one thing that you can do in these markets is have a strategy, right? Yeah. And I think the number one thing I see an issue with people that get into any asset class, it's not Bitcoin, it's not crypto, it's investing your money anywhere. It's knowing what your risk tolerance is, having idea what your time horizon is, and also what's your action plan for entry and exit. And I know for me, I do a lot of day trading, but I also know that realistically, there's some projects like Bitcoin that I'm going to be holding for a long period of time. And so why subject myself to it breaks down to this. Taxes suck and taxes are boring as shit. That's bottom line. Nobody wants to talk about it. But at the end of the day, I had to switch the wiring in my brain from, okay, my taxes to, I'm getting an additional 20 to 40% gain because I'm not basically subjecting myself to all these unnecessary short-term tax gains. Because I knew people personally last cycle and the cycle before that saw so many massive increases in their valuations on their portfolios. And what happens is we start to spend that money. We spend it, whether it's in our mind or buying cars, and then the market corrects before you really prepared. And now you have a tax bill, but now your portfolio crashed in such a way you can't even pay the tax bill.
Yep.
So for me, taxes suck. It's part of life. So how do I make sure I can look at my strategy? Yeah, it's hopeful it goes up, but also how do I make sure to plan ahead to get it? So tell us a little bit about what you're doing at Bitcoin IRA, and how people can integrate this. You know, is it boring? Is it you just roll your 401k into? Are they able to trade? Is it just Bitcoin? Tell us a little bit about that, and we can dive a little bit further.
Yeah, so there's kind of two worlds that come to us. There's folks that are already building their retirement, so they're a little ahead of the curve. They've done contributions. They may have an old 401k. One of the things I always say is you never want to leave your old 401k at your old job. It's like leaving your favorite hoodie at your ex-girlfriend's house. It just doesn't make sense to me. And so there are folks that just aren't even managing that, because most 401ks, if you log into Fidelity Net Benefits, Hewitt, any of the groups, their goal is it's an accumulation strategy to put as much money in, get the corporate match, those types of things. But once you're done with that job, you can liberate that. You have the ability to move it to an IRA and have much more access, because all you really do is get A, B, C, D kind of generic funds at those places. And you can roll it over into more cutting edge investments like crypto and things like that. So that's one group of folks that are sitting in the traditional markets with these retirement funds they've already put in place, and they're not really doing great, right? There's not a lot of yield that's happening, and they're looking at the other side, looking at us crypto boys on the other side of the beach and going, man, I want to be part of that party. That looks like fun. And this is a way that you can take from the 401k, put it in IRA. There's no tax implication. So it's not like you're taking a second mortgage or cashing out your 401k to invest in crypto. You're using all the same beautiful stuff the government gave you to create that 401k, to use those tax deferred settings, but you're putting it in a tool, a vehicle that we've created that you can trade. Now I think we're almost to 80 different cryptocurrencies.
But I have to ask you, because crypto, it's supposed to be this thing. It's outside the system. It's dangerous. It's volatile. But you're telling me Bitcoin IRA, it's one of those regulated.
Yep.
It's okay.
Fully regulated industry. We're Nevada. Most banks, if you go to any bank out there or trust company, there's about 6 or 7 very friendly states to banking. So if you land in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or Pierre, South Dakota, you're going to see all these buildings, just like in Overland Park, Kansas, or in Vegas or Reno, Nevada. These buildings that are banks, because that's where they headquarter, because they're regulated. It's a state regulation. So we're regulated by the state of Nevada, the FID. We have to go through all kinds of things. It's just like we're not a bank, but it's the same parameters that we have to have. Background checks on everybody, fingerprinting on everybody. They check our capital. They watch our systems. They go through all these processes so that then eventually, because of all the layers of protection we've done, we now get insurance policies behind this. So we're insured for up to $250 million per incident for cryptocurrency. But yeah, this is an intersection. You know, I remember back when I started this, 2015, the world was not my keys, not my crypto. Mm-hmm. I see that shifting more and more, especially when you see these things, these ransoms that are happening, the kidnapping in New York. They could come in here right now and say, hold a gun to my head and say, give me your Bitcoin. I can't do it because it's in a Roth IRA, and I have to go through a series of steps with our trust partners, video verification, AI identity verification, all these things. I can't just give them my laptop and give them my seed. Like, that just doesn't exist. So, and if something were to happen to me, was just on a flight here to Vegas, and we were on JSX, the smaller plane. And man, that it would drop like 500 feet in altitude, and that your heart just gives that gut wrench. But if something was to happen, it goes to my wife, and then it goes to my child as a beneficiary. So they don't have to worry about where the ledger's at, what's dad doing with the ledger, how's the keys work, what's the C, all that goes away. So it's this marriage of traditional and crypto finance where you're able to do all the things, invest in them. Plus, like you said, this financialization that's happening. We've got a staking program that Cardano goes live, I think, next week. So we've been working really hard, and then followed by 5 other coins, Ethereum, Polkadot, Solana. All those up to 7% yield, I think, is the highest yield. I think that one's AVAX. AVAX pays pretty high yield nowadays. So you have that tool. Plus, we're building for the 3rd quarter this year covered calls, an ability for you to use your Bitcoin. So this is a way to make yield on your Bitcoin. It's great for sideways markets and bear markets. For bulls, it may not be as popular in those bullish markets, but that's what happens. Cycles, they have their moments, right? And so these are all tools that are available. And the best part is, you make the gain, you make the growth, you trade all day, you swap. I think I swapped some of my XRP to get some Ondo when we were talking about it. I didn't have a capital gains implication because I was inside that tax umbrella.
It just comes down to the awareness of tools, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even going back, zooming out a bit further, it's not even the tools of how to manage the capital. I think people are starting to realize the awareness factor of even Bitcoin and crypto in general, like it just entering the world stage. And so there's a very fast, I think, education path that people are taking of hearing about Bitcoin 77 times and then finally, you know, meeting somebody or doing one transaction. That's usually all it takes. Wait, you're telling me I can send something to somebody anywhere in the world? It doesn't matter what country, what geolocation, anything.
There's no middleman.
And it's boom there. It's like I lived in Thailand and I remember sending money to myself from my US-based bank to my Thai bank. It took almost 2.5, almost
crazy,
3 weeks to get it.
And how many fees along the way?
Right. And but the interesting thing that you brought up, though, I hadn't even thought of that. Having something like the Bitcoin IRA, which is, by the way, at bitcoinira.com, it's not just like the crypto thing in taxes. It's like protect your life, protect your crypto, protect your future, right? Because I didn't even think about that because the implications that are coming out lately with all these different ransoms, people getting kidnapped and
fingers cut off, kids kidnapped.
But now you can actually store your crypto in I don't want to say tax sheltered, but would you call it a tax shelter?
Well, we have non-IRA accounts. So for anybody that is an IRA holder with us, we have the service to help them with their non-IRA accounts. We call them non-qual accounts, cash accounts. It's hard to say cash accounts because we're dealing with crypto, but yeah, it's like your bank account, your checking or savings account, but you use it for crypto. And then you have all the same things. You get great reporting at the end of the year that you can give to your tax advisor for things. So those tools are available, and that's where you get that nice added extra layers of security. Beneficiaries are huge, so you set up your beneficiaries because we never know. Life is fragile. You never know what's going to happen.
If I got hit by a bus tomorrow, God forbid,
does your family know what to do?
I don't know how I could align them with the 7 different exchanges I use, the
passwords,
probably
2FAs,
8 or 9 different cold storage wallets, some hot wallets. All that would essentially be burned in the ether because nobody would be able to find it.
Oh, well, then you're locking more stuff up. No, it's funny. It's like changing an iPhone nowadays. I just updated and with the authenticator apps and all, that is a nightmare to go through. I had to call help from my IT team because I'm like, guys, I have so many of these 2FAs for all kinds of stuff. How do I transfer this all over? And now with the upgrades they're doing, this makes it an easy transition.
You're hearing it here. You're hearing it everywhere. And some of you are still sitting on the sidelines. I don't even mean in crypto. I'm just talking about if we're doing this and we're really expecting, and why would you do this if you're not expecting to generate some level of wealth, whether it's $100, 100,000 or 100 million, why not take it so seriously also? If you're going to day trade. If you're using it for your capital on the weekly, do that, but also plan for your future. And also, if you want to get some of that day trading itch out, you can day trade in Bitcoin IRA.
And not have to do all those short-term implications and that long list to your accountant. Your accountant's going to love you when you say, oh, no, I moved all my trading on crypto over to my IRA. They're going to love you. They might even give you a discount because it's going to be a lot less paperwork for them next year.
Yeah, and he Chris went on the Discover Crypto show, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and broke down, because we had a discussion. He broke down, if you were to put in $7,500, where would you put it, just as an example. And I was like, I'd put it in Ondo, Chainlink, and Tau. He goes, okay, what price points do you think those are going to go to, and what's your strategy there? I was like, well, I'd like them to go to X, Y, and Z price points, and my plan is to ultimately always rotate profits, rotate capital that I can generate into more Bitcoin. He goes, okay, let me show you what would happen. If you did that and made no more trades for 25 years, you're essentially, in this one moment, losing about $1.6 million in taxes, just on the capital gains from you made profits, now you're rotating it into Bitcoin. That's a taxable event.
It was 0.17 Bitcoin less that you would get, because today's prices, and we did it 150,000, so it was like $25,000 in taxes you'd have to shell out, which is a purchasing power differential, meaning you don't get to go and buy Bitcoin with 100% of those proceeds. And that at the next level, which we put it at 10 million was the level, it was 1.6. And then remember the third one is they get you for another 1.7 when you go to retirement, because at some point you're going to have to either use your Bitcoin as dollars, which might be where we're at in 10, 15 years, or sell it off to get dirty dollars. And there's another tax implication at that point.
So even if you're starting with $1,000, $5,000,
this was $7,500,
right? Which is the limit, I think, right now for the contributions.
Unless you're over 50, you can do 8,000.
But these small things have major life-changing impacts and what the end result's going to be. And it all starts with, it's kind of like doing sit-ups in the morning. I have a friend that a good friend in New York.
What's a setup?
I know. I mean, look at me. I forgot also. No, but he had the most ideal man's body. And I was like, bro, I'd never see you go to the gym. He goes, I haven't gone to the gym in 25 years. He goes, my dad made me promise before he passed that I'd always do 100 sit-ups a day and I'd always do 100 push-ups. That's all he does. But it's the small thing that's the consistency over time that has the long-term impact, that has dramatic, cataclysmic differences of what the outcome is going to be. And so I just want to really inspire and challenge each one of you to ask yourself, where do you want your future to be? And if you're actively involving yourself and working with investing, trading crypto, then if you're not having some sort of long-term time horizon in mind, get that in line right now. And two, what's your strategy there? And if you're not going to do something like an IRA, ask yourself why not? Why are you being so short-sighted? So with that being said, do you guys have anything else? BitcoinIRA.com. Do you have anything else you'd like to
and because I memorized the number over the years, we have real crypto, real people. It's not robots. Yes, the robots call you for your birthday, but we've got plenty of real folks that have been doing this for over 13 years, helped people open up tens of thousands of accounts for folks. We're at 14 billion in assets under custody. And these guys have been doing this, guys and gals have been doing this for years with me. You can call them at 877-936-7175, and usually within about 90 seconds to about 120 seconds, you're on the phone with a real human, because everybody's retiring. This is not a one-size-fits-all. Everybody's got their own strategy. There's folks that are sitting with old IRAs, old 401ks, 403bs, pensions, and to know how that whole process works, we kind of help you. We're your shepherd along the way. And you've got 80 different coins you can choose from, and then for you guys, through the end of June, we have the special just for the Discover folks. You can get up to $1,000 in rewards by opening your account before the end of June. So get on it. You don't have to wait till the end of the year to do your contribution either. If you think the cycle's coming and it's going to be a beefy next couple of quarters, get your money in now. Don't wait till Christmas to do it and miss out on all those gains.
Absolutely. Got everybody, head over to BitcoinIRA.com. The phone number is also up there on the top. But let them know BitLab Academy sent you, Discover Crypto sent you, Kelly, they'll know who it is, and they're going to make sure you're taken care of. Chris, always a pleasure talking with you, and I'm so happy to see this industry booming in such a way where the majority of people out there don't know what's going on yet. So take advantage of this and also save yourself that impact of loss from being a dumbass and not looking forward and see where your future is going to go. So BitcoinIRA.com, thank you so much again for coming, and we'll see you all in the next one. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, ding the bell, and give Bitcoin IRA a call. We'll see you in the next one. I'm still here, everybody. I'm still here. I just have to drop the good knowledge for you guys, because it's not just about making money on the daily, only to see later that you didn't pay your taxes, you didn't set yourself up, you didn't look to the future. Because let's be honest, if you're not looking to the future in terms of retirement, you're probably not doing it for your trading either. So make sure you take advantage of that. Head over to BitcoinIRA.com, channel partner as well, but you can find more information on them right here at the very top of the screen. You see this, 1-877-936-7175. Again, that's 1-877-936-7175. to protect your crypto in terms of a tax basis, and also make sure you can set up your retirement. Helping Americans retire with crypto. You can roll over your existing IRAs, your Roth IRAs, all of these. You can also start, as we broke down on the Discover Crypto channel, even if you only did the max once, $7,500 in altcoins. Because remember, there are 75, 80 different coins. I think there's up to 80 now. And I'm trying to get them to list dog, by the way. But you can trade your altcoins, and then at the end of the cycle, when you trade into Bitcoin, you're actually saving about a 20 to 35% loss that you'd be paying to taxes. Because if you're trading them, which you can day trade here on BitcoinIRA.com, if you set up an account there, you basically get to eliminate those taxes in a major way. So check out BitcoinIRA.com. Again, 1-877-936-7175. Every account out there that does this for a long period of time has to take on sponsors, has to figure out a way to do it. And I wanted to make sure that we brought on sponsors that have real utility, real value, and are doing meaningful things that can benefit you. So it mean a great deal to me if you do take care of your future. Let them know Kellam from BitLab Academy sent you. I love you. Max I could put in is 7,500. No, you could put more than that, but there's a limit every year in IRAs that you can contribute with that basically eliminates tax burden, stuff like that. There's a limit per year you can put in as a one-time payment. If you have 300,000 in IRA, you can roll that into this. That's all that's separate from your yearly contributions. But my point is, don't wait until next year to take care of this. And also, all these questions can be answered in a lot more detail over at bitcoinira.com. Again, that's 1-877-936-7175. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Remember, this is the market cycle that we're looking at. In order to get there, we've got to endure some of these things like this, where you get the 40% pullbacks, but this is what it looks like when you zoom out. This is that exact same 40. Look at this, minus 40.06. This was way back here, and look at what that looks like. It's inconsequential, so make sure you're stacking. Don't get lost in these traps thinking you made a stupid error. You just need to adjust your time horizon to a lot longer because it's up and to the right. Make sure you are stacking smart. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you over on BitLab Academy. That's all we got. I hope you have a good weekend. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Go check out bitcoinira.com, baby. Adios.